Welcome to Cavalry Unscripted, no fluff, just real talk. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects every business owner, every employee, and every entrepreneur in Nigeria, the new Nigeria Tax Act. That's 2025. What you really need to know. For new regulations to compliance tips, we're breaking it all down in plain language because understanding your taxes shouldn't feel like rocket science. So, my name is Dada Sandra, and we're here from Cavalry Group, and I'm here with one of our bosses in the finance department.
All right, thank you very much. My
Welcome,
name
sir.
is Makanjola Illumide Julius.
Okay.
I'm the head of finance at Cavalli Business and Investment Group, and I'm also a fellow of the Chartered. I'm also a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of Nigeria, and then an associate member of Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria,
Nice.
and I'll be diving into the Nigerian Tax Act as it relates to the Nigerian economic system, as it also affects an employee, businesses, and then small scale enterprises.
Okay.
So that's my job here this
Yeah.
afternoon.
Yes. Yes. Welcome, sir. Thank you for being with us. So now let's start with the big picture, right? What is new in the 2025 Nigerian Tax Act, and why should every business owner and employee care about it?
Okay, that's a very good question. Uh, I would like to give background to that. Uh, the Nigerian Tax Act was actually introduced by this current administration, and the whole exercise was equally carried out by one of our own in the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. That's in person of Mr. Taiwo Idele,
Okay.
who is also the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal and Tax Reform Committee. Their major task was actually to see how they can reduce tax burden on the poor Nigerians, and also see how they can also ensure that tax administration is seamless, easy, as to what we used to have. Now, what we used to have before now, we have several tax laws scattered all over, and which are also very kind of difficult to understand. So their work was to ensure that the Nigerian tax system is more seamless, unified, and easy for anybody to understand. Now, their work really just doesn't focuses on the Nigerian tax collection alone. It also focuses on government spending. It also focuses on policy coordination. But I'll just focus on that areas that actually we are to talk about. Basically, what they did was that they made some amendments to the Nigerian tax in the area of the Nigerian tax, the Nigerian tax administration, then the Nigerian Revenue Service Act, also the Joint Revenue Board Act. But our focus is just going to be on the Nigerian Tax Act. The Nigerian Tax Act basically defines what is taxable, then what is taxable, what is to be collected, and in doing that, what they have equally done is that they have been able to also categorize SMEs, what SMEs can pay in terms of their revenue categorization. The SMEs was categorized into uh, small companies, medium companies, and large companies. So these are the things I'll be talking about. So in the area of the payee also, there is a new structure compared to what we used to have before now. So there are a lot of changes in area of uh, tax payments. So, those are the changes. For example, if I'm to, I think I'll see. Let me just hear more of your question,
Questions.
then I'll
Okay.
talk about.
So basically, what I want to know is, I feel like generally as Nigerians, a lot of people, or aside people like you that are really in that field, people don't really understand in Nigeria. People don't really understand the concept of paying tax, or how sometimes some people even pay taxes and they don't know how it is removed, how it is deduced. Sometimes some people don't even know the percentage of their tax, right? So what I want to know is this new tax now. How is it going to? So layman like me, like in the field, like how is it going to affect us? Like, is it going to be reduced for younger, like for small employees like me, or like are people going to be paying more, or are they going? Is their tax going to be reduced?
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, that I said the focus of the
Mm-hmm.
fiscal committee and tax reform was to lessen the tax burden
Okay.
on
Okay.
Nigerians. Now, prior to this time, our tax system, especially the pay system, used to be regressive in nature. Regressive in the sense that the low income earners, the poor,
Mm-hmm.
they pay more, while the
Big companies.
people that earn more, they pay lesser.
Yes. Oh wow.
But with the way it has been structured now, the tax is more progressive. Progressive in the sense that if you are a low income earner, you
Mm-hmm.
pay according to what you
You
earn.
earn.
So people that earn more
Mm-hmm.
pays more
Mm-hmm.
now
No.
compared to what it used to
Okay.
be.
Nice.
So this is one of the advantages that has come
Mm-hmm.
into the introduction of this new pay system as a
Mm-hmm.
part of the Nigerian Tax Act.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I think that clarifies things. I think I understand to an extent now.
But it still depends because you now need to understand. For example, if you go to, I think I'm trying to remember that website. I think fiscalreform.ng.
Okay.
There's a tax calculator there,
Okay.
whereby you can even go ahead to determine
What else?
your taxable income at the end of the day.
Okay.
Now, when I say taxable income, for example, if you are a salary earner
Mm-hmm.
and probably you are earning 5 million naira in a year.
Oh.
Now, your 5 million naira is still also subject to some taxable deductions. Taxable deductions like the Nigeria NHIS, that's
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria Health Insurance Scheme,
Mm-hmm.
NHF, Nigeria uh, uh, NHF, that's Nigeria Housing Fund,
Okay.
then insurance,
Sure.
your pension.
Mm-hmm.
So this pension also, for example, is 8% of the employee uh, gross salary,
Mm-hmm.
or you can say 8% of the BHTS, that's basic housing and transport. It depends on what
But
area you are looking at the computation from. Then when you put all of this all together, you will now deduct it from the gross salary. Now, very prior to this time, there's what we call consolidated relief allowance. But this NPA, that's Nigerian Tax Act, has repealed that and replaced it with rent allowance. Rent allowance now is 20% of your annual rent, subject to a maximum of 500,000. Now, this rent allowance is also not automatic because for every organization, there is no way they are going to know what each and every of their employee is actually paying. So, an employee who also wants to claim a rent allowance from their employer would also have to come with a proof documentation of their rent receipt, showing that this is what they pay, so that we will know what we can take as a relief. That's this time the old Nigerian tax system, especially on pay, we used to have what is called alimony allowance, personal allowance. So all of that has been abolished, but it has not been replaced by that. So by the time you look at deductions, you take it away from that gross salary. So whatever that is now left is what will be applicable on the tax table. The tax table started from the first 800% is at The first 800,000 is at 0%. The next 2.2 million naira is at 15%. So
Hmm.
it's progressive like that. So by the time you take out all the deductions, whatever that is left is what will now be put on that tax table, which will now reflect your tax liabilities the end of the day. So that tax liability will be further divided by 12. Just the way your gross salary will be divided by 12. So on a monthly basis, the net tax liability is now what will be deducted from your monthly salary, which will now give you your monthly net.
Okay.
You get?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
So these are part of what was introduced in the
In the Nigerian Act. Okay, okay, that sheds more light on it, to be honest. So, and also a lot of people see paying tax as punishment rather than contribution, especially in this Nigeria, because people feel like they don't get value for what they're paying for. Outside Nigeria, in the abroad, when they get tax refunds and people see where their money is going, they have good roads, they have relief funds, they have money for housing, they have money to feed, there's free food, there's free healthcare, and we have little to none of that here in Nigeria. So Nigerians technically feel like, what am I paying tax for? Like, where's my money going to? Like, so people, Nigerians are not happy to pay their taxes because they are not getting anything from it. So what do you think about that? Like, what do you think about the fear Nigerians have about paying taxes or being skeptical about it? Because a lot of Nigerians don't like to pay their taxes.
Okay, so I think to answer that question, I would also want to probably pick from my other Taiwo Oyedele.
Okay.
Now, he used to use a particular uh, uh, analysis. They call it the blind men
Mm-hmm.
and the elephant proverbial analysis. Now, it goes like this. Now, they put a blindfold, or there are some set of blind men, and they put them all together to check an elephant. One touches the rope and said, "Is a snake." One touches the body and say, "This is a wall."
Oh, yeah.
So everybody is just seeing it from different perspective of what they can touch. Now, I will link that to lack of education. Lack of education in the sense that in this part of the world that we have, a lot of us, we don't even have a clearer understanding of what tax is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And that also makes it very difficult for you to understand the reason why you are
You're
paying
paying tax.
taxes. Now, just like you have said, really, tax is being paid by us. We are also supposed to enjoy
Enjoy
the
it.
benefit of paying that taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also in a climate that because the government officials also understand that a lot of people paying these taxes also really do not, I'm sorry, I believe that's the way they are saying it. Because if we all understand this and we are also calling their attention to the needs for them to do the needful, we are holding them accountable. There is no way they would want to just play around with our money anyhow. So we also need to do more of that, and which I think is part of what the uh, tax reform committees have been able to achieve, because they've been going from one part of the country to another part of the country to make the Nigerian citizenry to see the need while they are trying to do more on this aspect of tax payment and making sure that government also delivers as expected of them also.
Sorry, so I believe that, okay, you mean we should demand the government I believe that people do one way or the other. Like, there's always one thing or the other going on social media, and people are like, oh, the government is not doing what you're supposed to do. They are not doing this, they're not doing that. But, sir, do you think our voices fall to deaf ears? Because I think they do. Because people every time online, especially like on social media, like people are saying this, and a lot of these officials, government officials, they are online. They see it because when they are dragging them, they respond. So they see the cries of people actually saying it. People have been complaining about the road fixing, about potholes and potholes. See the time that they're choosing to fix the road at peak period when Lagos is going to be packed with so many people. It's going to cause crazy traffic. So a lot of people are actually demanding more from the government. So that's why people are very skeptical about this old tax and like, oh, okay, we're not even the one we're paying before, we're not even seeing the work. Like, who are you to demand this now from
I can tell you, probably apart from some
Mhm.
uh, businesses, right, that are tax compliant, and some organizations that are also filing their personnel's tax payments.
Mhm.
The numbers of tax collection in Nigeria, that is tax to GDP,
Mhm.
prior to May 2023 was just about 10%, which if you compare to what South Africa as a country is getting,
Mhm.
it's far more than what Nigeria is getting. Now, the focus of Nigeria revenue generation has majorly been on oil.
Mm.
And that is why this tax drive, it's also been encouraged. I'm not any government official.
Yeah,
Yes,
of
right.
course, yeah.
So I'm also saying it as a key.
Yes.
So why they are also doing all of this is to ensure that the tax collection
Mhm.
we are getting, that is the tax to GDP ratio in Nigeria, it also increased.
Enough,
Now, it
yeah.
is on the increase. Like what the government is saying now that come 1st January 2026,
Mm.
in fact, the way this thing has been structured now, it's been structured in such a way that your BVN, your NIN, it's been linked to your tax ID. So, and they're also bringing digitalization into the tax collection.
Yes, yeah.
So there's no way you'll be able to run away from paying taxes from next year. And if that is achieved, then we, the citizenry too, will now have that capacity to continue to question the government and to demand for what we think is our right for them to do.
Mhm.
So I don't think to continue like
I
that.
start, okay.
It's the social media and co now. You can see that anytime anybody just go online to call the attention of government to something that
Mhm.
the masses feel it is not right,
Right.
they quickly take action immediately. So subsequently, as time goes by, I believe all of these things
So,
should be better.
okay.
Not that it will be better, should be better.
Better.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that, sir. Okay, so now for small and medium business owners, what are the key changes they should be expecting from this new tax act?
Okay, very good question. So for small and medium enterprise, what should be expected is that the Nigerian Tax Act has been able to also simplify that. Now, what are the days that regardless of your level of turnover, the Nigerian corporate tax is fixed at 30%. The education tax is fixed at 2%, then later through Finance Act, sometimes in 2020 was changed to about 2.5%. But the way the NTA has looked at it now, SME are now categorized according to their revenue. Now, if you are an SME that's SME, that your revenue bracket is from 0 to 25 million, you will be exempted from paying corporate tax. You will not even pay withholding tax. You will not pay value added tax. You are not even expected to you are expected to register, right? With the Nigerian Revenue Service, formerly Federal Inland Revenue Service. Because part of what the tax reform also established, like I mentioned earlier, is the Nigerian Revenue Service, formerly used to be the Federal Inland Revenue Service. So you would also be you'll be registered with them. So, but from 25 million to 100 million, you are also categorized as a medium company. So you are expected to register for VAT, register for tax, you are expected to file returns, and and your corporate tax, that point, is just about 20%, but you are not supposed to pay
Hey.
education tax.
Okay.
But 100 million and above, then it means you are now a bigger organization. So you observe every of the Nigerian tax laws, and then you pay all the necessary taxes. So what it means for SME is that SME should now try as much as possible to also keep a very good record of all their transactional dealing, so that you will know as the business is also growing, so that you are not caught unawares whereby you are making 25 million and you think you can even evade tax. Because the bank account now is now linked to your PAT registration number, your BVN, your NIN. So as much as you are doing businesses, and probably you think nobody knows about it.
You are seeing it.
Because with the development of this new tax reform, everything is going to be digitalized. So every information of your inflows and outflows, this IRS will be getting all that details. So if you don't sit down and you don't go ahead to why or to make necessary compliance as expected, you will just see NIS official in your office one day and tell you that you are owing government also amount of money.
Yeah, understandable. Understandable. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, that explains a lot actually. So, and I think you've even answered the next question because the
Okay.
next question was going to be most businesses struggle with compliance. How can they stay on the right side of the law without feeling buried in paperwork? But I think you've answered some of it with digitalization. I think that helps it. But I need to buttress on it if it's
Okay. So I think for that, SMEs should, as much as possible, like I mentioned, keep records of their
record of
business
the
beliefs.
business. Oh,
To try as much as possible, get a professional accounting, accountant
mhm.
or an accounting service firm to also help them with their day-to-day record keeping, to keep track of their business proceedings, to at every point in time show that this business is now growing within or above the corridor of 25 million naira, so that you will know whether you are still within the bracket of a small or
Small
medium
business.
business organization.
Understand. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So now let's talk about employees. What's changing in terms of income tax, deductions, or reliefs under this new system? I think me personally, I'm waiting for that question. It's because I don't know
In the course of my explanation, I think I've even
answered that
talked
question.
about,
Yes.
but do you see want me
I
to
know we want yes or no. Is our salary is it going to be deducted more?
to just answer that straight? I've mentioned it. Just go to uh because it's something you can actually approach me. I can put down the template for you to see, but without me doing it for you, if you actually want to do it on your own, because prior to this time, I don't think people don't pay attention to all these things. All of these things, even prior to tax reform committee, you can easily go online,
Yeah.
through research, you can do the calculations. But because of the fact that such languages sometimes are also very technical, so you may be doing the calculation on your own and you think you are getting it
Getting
right.
it right.
But to a taxman or to an accountant, you are getting it wrong. But with the way it has been simplified now, if you go to that fiscalreform.ng,
Entry.
there is a calculator readily made there already.
Okay.
You know your gross salary.
Yeah.
Then you also know what you are contributing as a national housing fund. You know what you are contributing as a Nigeria health insurance scheme. You know what your pension is, 8% of your emolument. You know if you are doing life insurance policy, and then the relief I mentioned earlier, which is at 20% of your annual rent, subject to 500,000. If you know all of that, you put it into the column where they created for deductions. By the time you put it into it, there is a column on that website already that you just point on calculate. Once you punch on calculate, you see your tax
Okay.
liability without
Okay.
anybody telling you what it should be. You see it there. So if you are now working within an organization and they are now deducting you beyond what it ought to be, then you can now sit down with the finance department of that organization to say, please, what you are deducting is not what I am supposed to pay. So then the two of you can now sit down and look at it all together to see for yourself. This time around, transparency is also part of what this thing has brought into it. In fact, for some organizations who would want to like manage the staff pay, you probably report a different thing to the state board of internal revenue of that company, country like Lagos State now. Lagos State internal revenue are the one collecting for personal income. Okay. Because I also need to devise that. For companies are still responsible for their tax payment to NRS or FIRS. Now, maybe I should just speak to FIRS. We are not in 2026 yet. So they pay to FIRS, while for the personnel tax election, it has been collected from their gross salary. An organization is expected to pay to State Board of Internal Revenue. If you are in Calabar, if you are in Port Harcourt, you pay to River State Internal Revenue. If you are in Calabar State Internal Revenue. In Lagos, you pay to LRS. So by the time we collect it, we pay to them. But maybe I should not talk about that on there anyway.
Why not? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It's confidential.
No, it's not something I should talk about.
Okay, sir. No, okay, so you can't tell us if it's going up or going down.
It's not my points.
Yeah.
So my point is, you know what you are earning now.
Yeah.
You know your gross. You know what is being deducted.
Yes, I understand.
And I'm saying, based on the new
law,
tax law and the new tax law, I said there is a calculator.
Yes, you said so.
Fiscalreform.ng.
So we can find out ourselves.
You can go and put that's your gross that you are earning now. Based on all the other criteria that I've mentioned, put it there. You will see it for yourself if your tax will go up or it will come down. But let me tell you, your tax will only come down if your salary range is around 100,000 per month. Now, if it's above that, it's not going to be at par with what you are currently paying now, or
go up a bit.
It goes down a bit. It depends.
No, I want to hear.
It depends.
Okay, so I understand.
It depends because I know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
because if you think, oh, this new tax policy is going to reduce my tax burden, and probably you are within the range of the middle income earner that is earning, say for example, you are earning 1 million naira and above in a month. I don't think you should expect it to come down.
Yeah, of course not.
So if at all it's going to come down, the differential is not going to be so much.
Yeah, it's not going to be a lot.
Exactly.
Understandable. Okay, thank you, sir. So I think you've also answered my next question, because I was going to ask if you think a lot of employees even understand how much they're paying, but like you said,
that one is a straight no. A lot of employees don't understand because nobody likes to pay tax. Tax is more. It's like you are punishing me.
Honestly. Why are you taking my money?
Because it's left to me too. If I can have the entire of what you stated as my gross, I'll be happy to collect it.
Yeah.
But that you are taking out on a monthly basis to give to governments.
You can shut the random numbers on the pay slip. It's not making sense to us. For some of us.
But now it's going to make sense because without you going to the finance department, you can easily do it on your own.
The fact that it's even
proud to this time, you can even do it on your own. It's because a lot of people actually don't pay attention to it, because once you get your next in your accounts, that is what you run with and you plan with it. So whatever that is being deducted, you don't even pay attention to it. Now, which is why, even as a country, a lot of us don't even pay attention to that aspect we are paying to the government as tax.
Mm, mm. I understand. Okay. This has been really enlightening. I'm not even going to lie. Okay, so some people say tax evasion is still easier than compliance in Nigeria. What's your take on that?
Well, before,
Before, yeah, I was going to say that because
but subsequently,
it's going to.
with the advent of this new development
Mhm,
that is coming,
mhm.
honestly, truth be told,
It's
it's
going
going
to
to
be
be
hard.
very difficult. Even fraudulent activities would kind of be
Yeah.
minimized because every of your transactions will now be monitored
Going to.
24/7. So it's going to be very difficult to play around with some things. Probably
Mhm.
you've been going to evade tax. So it's subsequently it's not going to be business as usual
Usual.
for tax evasion in Nigeria.
That's always the upside of digitalizing things because now
Exactly.
there's a digital trace. It's easy to know what you're doing. Okay, so our last question before we wrap it up for today. Um, if you could change one thing to make the tax system work better for both businesses and the governments, what would that be?
Well, I say enlightenment.
Hmm,
Yeah, enlighten people on the need
to pay your tax.
for you to pay your taxes, which is not different from what the tax reform committee is doing presently. If you go through all the social media, you see that they have their presence there. Go to Facebook, they are there. Go to Instagram, WhatsApp. In fact, there are a lot of numbers out there that's even without you coming to me to say you want to have knowledge about taxes, you will get it
You
there.
get it there.
And another thing to just capital is what I want to say to the Nigerian government, whether at the federal level, the state level, the local government level, is that as all of this is also coming and they are sharing it on a monthly basis into the FAC account, they should also administer it to serve the purpose for which this tax drive is meant to serve. Because if that is also done, tax drive and collection will be simpler and easier
Yeah.
compared to when you are not doing it and people are not even seeing the essence for which they are making the tax payment. So that will also make compliance very difficult. So education and also implementation from the aspect of government is what I think would
Yeah.
definitely make the
Yes,
difference.
I agree with that because people want to see the value for their money. Like, if you're saying you're getting something from something, you'll be eager to pay it. You do what you're supposed to do. So, thank you so much, sir. This has been really enlightening for me personally, and I'm sure for our viewers, everybody would be more enlightened after listening to it. So, thank you so much for your time,
Thank you
and
very
thank
much.
you
It's
for
my pleasure.
giving us your time.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
All right.
Did you